What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Extra Innings Podcast. Today, we've got a big episode. Well, we're just going to be discussing quite a bit of intense, important things going into tomorrow. Obviously, today is October 24th. Tomorrow's October 25th, which is Game 1 of the World Series between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Yankees. Probably one of the biggest World Series I think we've had in quite some time. I've said it a bunch of times on socials. I've said it on here. This is a huge World Series, and I'm super pumped for this. Some people are pissed, some people are upset. It's funny. I said this in the last episode. Last year we had, one of the lowest, smallest, on some people's radars, boring World Series. I thought it was a good series because it was the Diamondbacks and the Rangers, which is like the Diamondbacks are a low-level team. Rangers are like mid-level. But nothing with the star power that we're about to see tomorrow. So, in store today, we're going to kind of break down some key pieces to these lineups, the Yankees and the Dodgers, kind of some interesting facts going into the series, and kind of what I'm expecting. And then, obviously, starting on Saturday morning, we're going to start breaking down the games. So I guess I did find some articles. Because the World Series is going to be played on Fox, I always like to go through some of their articles because sometimes it's so far left that you wouldn't even, it's just like way out of left field. Some of them have horrible takes. So I did pull up. So Fox Sports, I guess, did 2 articles on X factors for both the Dodgers and the Yankees. The 5 biggest X factors for the Yankees in the 2024 World Series. This was written by Disha Thosar. No idea who that is. So let's see what she thinks. She thinks that the first X factor for the Yankees is going to be Carlos Rodon. That I can agree with. I can't say that enough. Obviously, Garrett Cole is going to be the Game 1 starter. Then kind of looking at the rotation and looking at how the last series has played out. I'm assuming coming in after Cole for Game 2 on Saturday is going to be Rodon. It has to be. You got the Dodgers have home field advantage, so they're going to play the first 2 in LA, Sunday a travel day, then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week will be in New York, in the Bronx. So though the Dodgers technically got off on the right foot, they have home field advantage. I'm still super hopeful and actually kind of excited that there's going to be 3 in New York. I think New York takes all 3. So interesting there, but we're going to see. Back to these X factors. I kind of went off tangent there. So Rodon obviously is going to be a big piece. He did not very good in one outing against Kansas City where he came out, and I've said this, it was almost really cringe to watch him pitch that game against the Royals where he started off so hot and then fell apart as fast as I think I've ever seen a pitcher unravel up there. He's very much a roller coaster on the mound. You don't quite know what you're going to get, though he came back and pitched really well against Cleveland. Just was phenomenal. He was great. Then came in that last game, game 5, and didn't do horrible, but he didn't do great. It was kind of just one of those outings where it was like he gritted through. It was kind of a toss-up. It was like, whatever. The bats kind of came through and saved it there. But if Rodon can keep his emotions in check and he can pitch like he pitched in that first game against Cleveland, he's a solid number 2. He's a solid number 2. I can't help but be worried when he steps on the mound. I get worried. Number 2, Giancarlo Stanton. Why is that an X factor? He has shown over and over that he is built for this moment. Right here, 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, 10 hits, 5 walks, and 6 runs in 9 playoff games. Why would he's not? Fingers crossed. I would assume that he's going to continue doing this. I don't think that that's really an X factor. I think that's kind of a guaranteed. That's not something that, obviously they're going to need that to win. But again, I don't know. We're kind of expecting that. Number 3, she says, Luke Weaver, relief pitcher. He's actually a closer. So get that right. Get his position right. So obviously Luke Weaver has been absolutely lights out. And then he kind of fell apart in that game 4 against Cleveland. Got rocked, though. Him and Clase got rocked. I don't know if it was just the night of the closer or what the issue was there. Again, I've said it before. I personally think that was mismanaged by Boone. I don't think that Luke Weaver had thrown, I think, every playoff game to date. I think it was game 3, he got rocked. Game 4, he didn't pitch. Game 5, he did. And I think aside from that travel day that they had, he'd thrown every game. Like, you're talking 5 games against a team. These are professional hitters. Like, they're going to eventually figure it out. Like, they were going to eventually figure it out. And that was like the Class A one for the Yankees was more interesting because he hadn't pitched all. Maybe he got cold. Maybe he just didn't have it that series. Maybe the moment was too big. I don't know. But for Luke Weaver, I personally think we got foreshadowed the night before when Ramirez hit the home run off him in the 9th, and he got out of it anyway. They still ended up winning. But I think that was a telltale sign that they know what's coming. Like, they're on his shit. So unless we really needed him, you had Canely throwing really well. You had Hills throwing really well. There was Meza who warmed up the entire postseason, didn't get in the game, but he threw in the bullpen. Like, you had him as well. So why didn't you just save him? Again, these are questions that I've been asking. You still have Clay Holmes, who's been doing well, except for when he got walked off on in that game 3 or 4. But again, I don't think Luke Weaver is going to be a problem. I think that he is going to, obviously, they're going to need him to win. Obviously, if they get the Luke Weaver we've had all for the latter half of the year, it's a wrap. You're not going to hit Luke Weaver. He's got one of the best changeups in baseball, electric fastball. He's going to light you up, right? But again, I personally, people are a little bit worried, like, he was still a little bit shaky in that last one. I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all. I think it was a little bit of overuse. I think a little bit he was kind of exposed. Or was just they'd seen him so many times. And I think he was a little bit tired. He's thrown every fucking game, man. Give the dude a rest. I think that was kind of a big deal. So expecting a lot from Luke Weaver, obviously, in this series. Gleyber Torres, again, these are not X factors. I don't know where did this come from? These are not like do or die, like people on the bubble, like that have been struggling. Because Gleyber Torres has been like money. I mean, had a really tough year. I think he had 18 errors, the most of any second baseman in the big leagues. Yes. Had he had a weird year? Yes. Did he get benched for not hustling? Yes. There's been a lot of stuff behind Torres, but in the playoffs, when the Yankees have needed him, he's been there. He's been a phenomenal leadoff hitter. He's got a 755 OPS, 6 home runs, 11 doubles, 25 walks, 22 RBIs over 56 games. He's batted leadoff, and he's also played phenomenal in that leadoff spot in the playoffs against Cleveland. He's got 2, 4, 7, 8 hits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 runs, no home runs, but he's got a double, but he's hitting the ball well. He's only got 2 strikeouts and all those at bats. Like, he is what you need out of a leadoff, and he has been that. And it's imperative that he keeps that up. But before I'm going to announce the 5th one that they have, which is, yes, an X factor. I will give her this. She got 1 right out of all those. This is an X factor, and I'm going to kind of give my worries, I guess is the best way to say it, right after we talk about this one. Thirsty today, man. So the 5th one that she has written here, which I totally agree with, is Jazz Chisholm. Now, Jazz Chisholm came over midway through the year, really reignited the Yankees, I think, when he got to Boston that day, when right at the deadline. I think that it kind of shifted a little bit of stuff in that clubhouse and kind of gave a little bit more excitement. He brought a little bit more of an edge. The Yankees at the time were like really struggling. They were not in a good place. And I think he was a kind of a light in that time. Though has been in a rut lately. It's not been doing well. And the thing is, like, Boone's already said, there was kind of a point, I think, last series, I even said it, a lot of people have said it, that Oswaldo maybe should have got a start instead. But Boone was pretty much dead set that, yeah, he's not leaving the 5-6 hole. It's not going to happen, and we're not taking him out the lineup. And I think that's a money thing. I really believe that that's a money thing. I think that they've invested a lot of money, and they're not going to move him because of that. You can't play Jazz Chisholm. Can't play Oswaldo over Jazz because he's fucking Jazz Chisholm now. He has severely cooled off at the plate. It's almost Wells-like, Austin Wells, who is pretty much an automatic out when he steps into the box, except for that one. He got a hold of one last time, I think the last game he played, but just not doing very still. I mean, the 1 home run over, like, he's like, 2 for 33 or something. It was really bad. Jazz is batting 147. He's 5 for 34 with a .481 OPS, 2 walks and 2 stolen bags. So yeah, he's still stealing bags, which is necessary, and I'm sure the Yankees are going to need that speed on the base pass this series, 100%. But again, they need him to be more productive at the plate. His at-bats just seem kind of wild. He's kind of one of those guys that it's very obvious that he's one of those guys that's not going to shorten their swing and try to just get on base. He's going to take even larger hacks than he was when he's feeling good, I guess. So I think that they're going to, the top of the lineup for the Yankees, whether it goes, Verdugo, Soto, Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. I think for a while it was Torres, Soto, Judge, Wells, Giancarlo, Jazz. And then since this whole thing with Wells has kind of gone to the shitter, they've kind of had to move that around where it goes Torres, Soto, Judge, Stanton, Jazz, and then it kind of goes from there. I'm still a believer. I think they needed to maybe put Rizzo up, move Verdugo up, and then kind of drop Jazz and Wells to the bottom with Volpe still batting at the 9 hole. That seems like the best bet. But again, I don't know. But again, yeah, I agree. Jazz Chisholm is a pretty big X factor, no doubt. But one thing that I will note, and I posted it yesterday, I tweeted it, and it's just something I've been thinking about. So the Yankees clinched on last Saturday. Almost, we're talking on, what day was that? On the 19th, they clinched. Dodgers clinched on Sunday, the 20th. We have now had 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll be 5 days since they've played. I'm super pumped that Giancarlo has done what he's done. I think Soto's still on a heater as well. Judge was kind of breaking out of whatever funk he was in. They're by no means sitting their ass on the couch. They're hitting, they're working out, taking live at bats. I get it, 100% throwing bullpens. I'm just personally a little bit worried. Will this 4 or 5 day span cool off Stanton? Will it cool off Soto? I don't know. Will it cool off Edman on the other side? Will it cool off some of these other guys? I don't know. A little bit worried. So that's kind of what I'm talking about when the X factor. Yeah, okay, maybe if you put into consideration a lot of these other factors, they've been sitting for a week, haven't played in a while, bodies stiffen up, they've been sitting. Obviously, they haven't been seeing live gameplay. They won Saturday. It was a big deal. Sunday was kind of a slow day, and then obviously back to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and now today, and then tomorrow. So I don't know. That's something I'm a little worried about, was this gap. And I voiced it. A couple other people voiced it as well. I don't know. We're going to see. Okay, now let's go to the 5X factors for the Dodgers. Yeah. This one's by Rowan Kavner. It's a different guy, also with Fox Sports. Okay, so these seem a little bit more accurate. I think that girl just didn't know what she was talking about. Freddie Freeman is 100% going to be an X factor here, because if you guys didn't know, Freddie didn't play that game. I think game 6 against the Mets, he didn't play. He's been dealing with a really messed up ankle. It's been very evident in his running and his mobility at first base. His running around the bases has been very, very limited. You can see he's hit a couple ground balls where if it's not a for sure, I can maybe beat this out, he's not even running. Like, there's been a lot of issues there. Freeman said it'll be 100% go for him in game 1, meaning he ain't sitting. And then you expect nothing less from Freddie Freeman. He's going to play that game 1, no way. So he had a high ankle sprain and a bone bruise that would typically require 4 to 6 week recovery. He's been playing through it, so respect to him. But yeah, they're going to need him to be everything that Freddie Freeman is to beat the Yankees. It's going to have to be a power for power battle with the Yankees and the Dodgers. Both have immense amounts of power on both sides between, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Shohei Ohtani, Judge, Soto, Stanton, Austin Wells when he's up and ready to go. And I do think that the Dodgers do have a little bit more power. And if they can get Freddie Freeman going, that's a big, big piece. So agree there. Freddie Freeman is a piece. Walker be okay. This guy's on it. This guy knows. And maybe there's just more X factors on the Dodgers side. I don't know, maybe, but let's see. So Walker Buehler, agreed. So Walker Buehler has not commanded the baseball well this year. I watched his start back in, I think it was June. He came back from that hip issue, which he was already recovering from Tommy John. But I'm going to be honest, he got pieced up in the series against San Diego. It was 6 runs like the first, but ended up battling through and through 5 innings that game. Then came in through the Mets and had a I watched that game and it was a phenomenal start. He was pinpoint accurate. Not the same Walker Buehler we saw in 21 and 22, who can throw in the upper 90s and kind of spot and do different things and get away with a little bit more. He has to be more perfect. He has to be more accurate. He's only throwing in the mid 90s now, 94 to 96, which people are like, that's still gas. Yes, it's still gas, but it doesn't have the same effect as that 100 did. So you have to learn how to pitch differently, which I think he's starting to kind of get into that groove a little bit. Especially from what I saw the other day, he was on. I mean, that was a standing ovation worthy 4 innings that he gave, shutout, much needed. It was great. So if they can get another one, and obviously they're not going to, and we're going to talk about some of the things that I'm thinking about as well a little bit later after we get to these X factors, but they're going to need him 1,000,000%. They're going to need Walker Buehler to be everything that he's been in the past and everything that he was in that start against the Mets. 3. Okay, Kike Hernandez. Okay, so Kike has been pretty much dismal all year, kind of a guy who's going to platoon, go different places. He play the outfield, he play the infield. You know, he does kind of everything, and he's kind of just lit up this postseason. He's got a 766 OPS second half of the series, second half of the season, and then he's been doing well in the obviously in the championship series as well as the divisional series. Gavin Lux has been a guy that struggled, so I would say that they're going to put in, they're going to play Kike Hernandez over some of these other guys. I mean, let's see what we got here. We got some stuff. So Miguel Rojas is out with injury, obviously. But yeah, Kike Hernandez with all these home runs he's hitting and stuff. And I'm thinking if he can keep it going, he is an X factor. I see that the Yankees overpower him. I think the Yankees are going to pitch to him well. There was just a lot of moments, and we're going to talk about the Guardians, obviously, in that series before, kind of what some telltale signs, some of the things the Mets did as well. I was very, honestly, on both sides. There were some pitching decisions made by the Guardians and by the Mets at times, like pitching sometimes to Kike Hernandez pitch location. Obviously, pitchers are going to make mistakes, but some of the pitches that Kike Hernandez hit out, it's like anybody can hit. Those were mistakes. Like, let's see when someone's really dialed in pitching. So, I don't know. Kike Hernandez, again, has played well, no doubt. He's played well all the way through. He's shown that he can handle the moment. He had that moment where he goes, "Oh, we don't give a fuck," which is super cringe and kind of weird, but some of the celebrations and stuff are a little bit sus. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. But honestly, like, if he keeps playing the way he's been playing, I'm a little bit worried. He's got good numbers against Cole, that I do know. And he may be one of those guys that's just like you just can't get him out. He's not doing overly damage. He's just kind of one of those nuances for the Yankees. But again, he's got the potential to be that, and the Yankees probably need to watch it, but I'm not expecting him to have any crazy impact. But again, could be wrong. Will Smith, obviously we got Austin Wells on the other side, who's getting his first taste of the playoffs. And you got Will Smith, who's veteran. He's been around these moments, signed a big contract, was with them in 2020. I think he's been with them their whole career, obviously. He obviously did well his first half of the season, struggled in the second half, has not really done much this postseason either. So an X factor, he's been dismal. I mean, it'll be a problem if he comes back. It'll be a problem if he does. But again, he's batting 158 in the postseason. I don't see him busting out of anything now. I think that he needs to just focus on defense and let the other guys take the baton and run with it. And he needs to focus on getting on base. I don't think that he's going to do much more than that. And to see that him really get going, he wasn't ever really, he's a good ball player. He's a good hitter. He's a good foundational hitter. But he's not going to be the guy that's going to be a breakout player and make these massive. Again, in the right situation, anybody can have a big moment. Anyone can have a big at bat. That's obvious. But to say that he's going to be like an X factor, no, I don't believe it. Tommy Edman, who won the NLCS MVP, came out of nowhere and has been absolutely ripping it up. I mean, these at bats against the Mets. Oh my God, 2, 4, 6, 7, 10, 11 hits in 6 games, bro. Holy shit. He got a home run. He had a home run, 4 RBIs, 3 RBIs, 1 RBI, 2 RBI, 1 RBI. I mean, the dude just went off. Respect to Tommy Edman, who came from St. Louis, who they really, when he didn't really have a shot to play, he wasn't going to be a big piece. Betts was going to play shortstop. The Dodgers wanted Betts to play shortstop all year. They didn't want to invest in a shortstop. They had money going to Yamamoto, Glasnow, Kopech. They had all these guys coming in. They didn't want to invest in a shortstop. Then Betts goes down. They need to stick him in there, and he ran with it. Ran with it all year. Props to the kid, man. He's fucking good. He smashes. An X factor, yes, if he can stay hot. But again, this is another thing. It goes back to the same thing I said the last segment with Stanton. will this, 4 or 5 day, break cause any issues? I don't know. I'm hoping these guys can stay hot. Just for the sake, I want to see a great series. So I'm hoping these guys stay hot. But I am worried that maybe this time off, maybe could cool some guys off. Worried about it, yes. But no doubt, if Tommy Edman keeps up the same streak, the same heat that he's been on, he will be a problem for the Yankees. Now, kind of going into some big pieces that I'm thinking. So that was the last. Those were the X factors for Fox Sports. Some I agree. Obviously, the Yankees not so much, but more so definitely on the Dodgers. I agree with some of those X factors. But now let's look at some of the roster stuff and kind of where I'm at. The big piece that I am talking about that I'm going to bring up, especially kind of just coming from me and my perspective and looking at some of these things. I think the biggest piece, no doubt, is going to come down to pitching. It's going to come down to pitching. Obviously, the Dodgers have a lengthy bullpen. They've got a thick bullpen. And I say that because, the Yankees, before we finish, the Yankees have great starting pitching. They've got Garrett Cole. They've got Luis Gil. They've got Carlos Rodon, Clark Schmidt, Marcus Stroman. And then we've got Nestor kind of just over here, talking about how he's willing to be on this roster to pretty much blow his fucking arm out to help contribute, which is admirable. But again, looking past this series and kind of going into the offseason, is it worth it? I don't know. Guys are kind of split on that. But anyway, the starting pitching is deep on New York's side. The bullpen has been good for New York, but I'm worried about how strong it truly will be. Obviously, you got Tim Meza, Mark Leiter Jr., who was actually pulled out because we had Ian Hamilton go down with an injury, so we put in Mark Leiter, Tommy Kahnle, Clay Holmes, Tim Hill, Jay Cousins. Decent, right? But on the other side, so you've got 3-ish starting pitchers, and they've shown that they're missing a fourth and fifth. Obviously, Glass now down. A lot of guys down. So right now, starting pitchers, you got Walker Buehler, Jack Flaherty, and Yamamoto. So they've got 3 for sure starters, and even honest to God, you're hoping for 4 to 5 out of Walker Buehler. Jack Flaherty has shown you that he can give you 7 strong if he's on. He's also showed you that he needs to be pulled in the 3rd or 4th if things go wrong. But again, and kind of going back to all that, I think that Dave Roberts did Jack Flaherty a disservice that game against the Mets when he got absolutely lit the fuck up in that Game 5. I thought that was an absolute disservice to Jack Flaherty all the way around. I get you needed to rest bullpen arms and you needed him to just get through it, and maybe you washed that game in the second inning. It was washed. Really, in the first, it was fucking washed. But that was a disgrace, the whole thing. But again, Flaherty has shown that he can give you length when he's healthy and he's feeling good and he's had enough recovery and rest. And then obviously Yamamoto he's kind of one of those guys. He's a toss-up, man. He's one of those guys that in the playoffs, he's shown now 2 different times that he can give you a great outing. But we've seen also in the regular season, which precedes a little bit, I think, in my opinion. You got to take it, maybe not necessarily, we don't really care as much, but it's still in the back of your head, like he's had some really rough outings. Numbers are okay against the Yankees, right? So again, something you just kind of have to think about. So they've got 3 solid starters, while the Yankees have guys that, they've got Gil, Rodon, Cole, Stroman, Cortez, Schmidt. So they got a bunch of dudes that even if they're not starting or in the starting rotation, from a bullpen standpoint, they can give you a lot of length. So that's a great thing for the Yankees. Now, again, though, coming here, we've had Anthony Banda, who has thrown really well. He's thrown it from the left side, got a funky angle, 98 to 100. So he's good. Brazier's also been good. He kind of got pieced a little bit here and there. Casparius is really good. Enriquez come and give you a little bit here and there. Honeywell, Brent, who's been bounced around this year everywhere, showed his worth this past series. He can give you a solid 4 multiple nights in a row. So he's going to go out there and throw well. Hudson, a vet who's been around the game for a while. You got Knack, who's okay. Kopech, who can start and close games and come in and give you relief. Another guy as well. Phillips, another one. Then Blake Trinan, who's pretty much their closer. He's going to be the closer. He's damn good. I mean, he is disgusting. Like I said, I've said it multiple times. He's fun to watch. So again, it's going to be really close to see how the pitching lines up. Obviously, game 1 is going to be Garrett Cole. I think Jack Flaherty's getting the call for game 1 for the Dodgers, so it'll be interesting there. Obviously, young versus experience. Cole's pitched in World Series with Houston. Got a lot of experience. Again, though, Cole sometimes makes me nervous. But again, I think that we've got a little bit of strength on the Yankees side rather than the Dodgers side in game 1. Game 2 has not been decided. You have to think, like I said, Carlos Rodon will go game 2. I'm assuming Buehler goes game 2 here as well. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But again, the pitching is going to be a big piece. Kind of looking at the lineup, and it's kind of talking off of what we've already said. I'm looking at the Dodgers here. Shohei Ohtani, if Ohtani can come through and really like bust out of this little slump he had, we should be worried about that. Will Smith, same thing there. Mookie Betts really showed out. Freddie Freeman showed out. All these guys can hit, man. It's gonna be kind of crazy. I don't expect Kevin Kiermaier to play much either. Pages played really well too. 2 home runs in that game 5. Again, we're gonna see. Now, kind of talking about the Yankees. Need Stanton to come through, obviously. I mean, if he can keep that up. The thing is, and again, kind of looking at the lineups and this looking at the active roster here, moving away from pitching, obviously we're going to wrap this up here. I would assume Austin Wells takes a good chunk of the catching. I would expect maybe Trevino to come in a late inning situation against a lefty if Wells can't pull it out. But I assume Wells is going to do a majority of the catching. I expect Oswaldo Cabrera to kind of move in with Anthony Rizzo like we saw in the last series, play a little bit of first. Obviously, Rizzo is battling those broken fingers he's been dealing with, so they've been taking him out late in games because it's a lot. His fingers are broken, so I would assume it's not going to feel great. Obviously, Volpe, we've seen a lot more out of him, who hadn't shown a lot. Great at bats in the latter half of this. Really, all season he's kind of been hit or miss, and I've been actually kind of like I feel more empowered when he's at the plate now. I don't feel as like nervous that it's going to be an out. So great there. Gleyber Torres again needs to keep it up. He's been solid on defense. Like I said, he leads the MLB with 18 errors at second, but has played lights out. So we need to keep that up. We need Chisholm. I need Chisholm to hit the fucking ball as well. Like there's a lot of these pieces. Obviously, John Birdie will play a little bit of first. I'm sure he's kind of doing that with Oswaldo. Now, kind of the thing I think to put right now, I think the biggest blunder with New York is who they're going to put on the postseason roster. You've got Nestor who's fighting and vying for a spot. I just don't think he's going to get on the roster. I think they're going to leave Grisham on there just in case with Dominguez as well. I just don't see the point. They're not going to rush Nestor back. And again, I know I heard a report that he threw yesterday live. But again, I don't see them rushing him back for this. I just don't see it. I mean, especially for a wild card, you don't quite know what you're going to get out of him. He's been hurt. Is he rushing it back to get on the field? Is that really a good idea? Are we really going to get the best out of him against a team that you need to be your best against? It'll be close. But again, I am super, super excited for this series, guys. Like, you have no idea. I've been waiting and waiting. Like, this is going to be absolutely insane. Like I said, we're going to be recapping every single game. So Saturday morning, we'll recap Friday night. It's normally the day after, so we can have time to let the game process, kind of get some notes in, stuff like that. So be sure to tune in after every World Series game. There will be an episode, I promise, as well as shorts on Twitter. If you want insights, I'm normally tweeting during the game, so check that out on X, as well as follow me on Instagram, the Extra Innings Podcast. We got stuff on there. We got stuff on TikTok, so don't miss it. But again, guys, thanks for listening, and y'all better be watching, man. Tomorrow's going to be a crazy game. It's going to be a crazy day. So we'll catch you guys in the next one.